about what's going on in FSA now and what we have coming down the pike. It is going to be a slow process. They're doing this farm bill different than we've done before. Usually when the farm bill's signed, we're rolling all this stuff out at the same time. We're dealing with software problems, which we are actually dealing with today, but I think it'll be quickly fixed. A lot of times the counties are just overwhelmed by the different programs they're trying to put out at one time. And this time they're not doing it that way, and that's at the national level. They're putting this stuff down slowly. So it's going to be a while before everything rolls out. And so what I'm going to do today is try to tell you a little bit about what we have going on right now, what signups we have going on now, and then give you some estimated time frames on what we should have coming in the next several months to give you some ideas. I know there's some big decisions to be made with some of these programs, and I think you're going to have the time to do that because it isn't going to be a fast process. So hopefully there'll be some tools out there for you to make these big decisions, and you won't feel rushed. So I just kind of wanted to let you know about that. I'm not going to have all the answers today, but we'll talk about what we do know. So the livestock programs we have out there now, and those rolled out on April 15th, and I think there's some confusion on that. I've talked to a couple people today that said they thought it ended on the 15th. So it did not end on the 15th. It's just getting started. So if you're interested in these programs I'm going to talk about, you've got some time. They are permanent programs now. So it used to be we had to wait for money, and I know a lot of times, like right now, we're getting ready to pay retroactively on some of these programs. And it puts people in a bind because they're needing the money 2 years ago, not now, which they need it now, but they needed it then. So I think it's going to help that these are permanent because every year we'll be having these sign-ups at least during this farm bill. So that'll be keeping those payments coming out more on a regular basis instead of having it be where we're trying to pay something retroactive. And it's easier on the county offices. They would much rather be paying stuff a year at a time than having to go back now and work with you on several years worth of payments. So the other thing is there's no crop insurance requirement now for the LFP program, the ELAP program. So, and we call that romper. So if you hear there's no romper requirement, that means you don't have to have crop insurance or NAP insurance in order to get these program benefits. And so I think that will bring some people out that maybe haven't participated with our programs before because they really didn't want to get crop insurance or pay for NAP coverage. So those are a few of the changes. You do have a couple fact sheets in your packet. One is on the Livestock Indemnity Program, which is LIP, and then one is on the Livestock Forage Program, which is LFP. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what those are. The LIP program basically provides benefits for producers that have animal deaths due to adverse weather events, or now they have added anything that's reintroduced, if it's an attack by an animal that's reintroduced into the wild. I don't think we'll have that too much in these areas, but they do have a program for that if you have lost livestock, and you get 75% of the market value of the applicable livestock, and this is on the date of the death. And these losses have to have occurred October 1 of 11 through December 30th of 14. So you're going to hear these dates a lot from me while I'm up here. And they have a January 30th, 2015 deadline to pick up all those years from 11 through 14. And then on the Livestock Forage Program, I think this is going to probably affect more of you. And I'm going to read this definition to you to make sure you catch it all. Provides compensation to eligible livestock producers that have suffered grazing losses for covered livestock on land that is native or improved pasture land with permanent vegetation cover or is planted specifically for grazing. Grazing losses must be due to a qualifying drought condition during the normal grazing period for the county. LFP also provides compensation to eligible livestock producers that have suffered grazing losses on range land managed by the federal agency if the eligible livestock producer is prohibited by the federal agency from grazing the normal permitted livestock on the managed range land due to a qualifying fire. This program looks at the drought monitor and looks at if you're in a D2, D3, D4. So that's what it's focusing on, is the drought monitor itself. I know for 12 anyway, there's hardly any counties that aren't eligible for LFP. So I'm encouraging you to go into your county office, and you may be eligible for multiple years. But I know 12 definitely, we had a lot of drought, and the drought monitor showed it. So make sure you get in to see them.
Jenny, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How does it work if you have range, pasture range, forage insurance versus Can you have both?
Well, this is a payment, so this isn't coverage at all, this LFP payment.
Well, I was told by some that possibly that if you tried to get a payment from LFP and you had passenger range insurance, that you couldn't get both.
Okay. Let me look at my fact sheet on that. What they're starting to do is make sure they're not paying for the same loss, pay double benefits. So let me look at that for you just to make sure that I'm looking at that right, because I know that is going to be an issue. Sometimes people are going to have to pick payments, even with LIP and LFP and some of these programs. If you're paying something on the same loss, there could be an issue. So that's a good question, and I'll look at that for sure. I haven't had anybody ask that question yet. That's the first time I've heard it. So let me take a peek at that. This program too, you don't have to have been in the office before. If you haven't, get in there. They'll get a farm established for you, and you'll be able to move on with your application. And again, these losses are October 1 of 11 through December 30th of 14, and also January 30th, 2015, deadline to go into apply for all those different years. And those are going to be different applications for each year that you apply based on where you fall on the drought monitor. Okay, then we have the Emergency Livestock Assistance Program, which is ELAP. There's not a fact sheet for that. They have not created a fact sheet yet. There's quite a bit of information they're trying to put in, so we will be getting that. That is something that we probably will put out once we get it. So again, if you're not signed up for GovDelivery to get email notifications, this is the time to do it with everything we have going on right now. And this is for producers of livestock. This is for honeybees, farm-raised fish, and aids in the reduction losses due to disease, adverse weather, or other conditions such as blizzards and wildfires that are not covered through LFP or LIP. And these losses, again, it's October 1 of 11 through December 30th of 14. And this program does have a $20 million cap on it. So this one we could run out of funds eventually. I think for most people, I think you get more LFP activity than ELAP, don't you, Janice? Yeah. So it seems to be the consensus around Colorado. This does have an August 1, 2014 deadline, though. So this is a different deadline than the other programs that we have out there right now for disaster. I'm going to tell you about the tree assistance program too, because that was another one that was thrown out. Probably won't have much around here, but that's for eligible orchardists and nursery tree growers planning or rehabilitating trees and bushes and vines that were lost due to natural disaster. Same time frame, October 1 of 11 to December 30th of 14. January 30th is the deadline to apply for that. So on any of these programs, these are the ones that are going right now. These are the ones that have deadlines. So if it's something you're interested in, get a hold of your local county FSA office, set up an appointment to come in and see them, and get your application and stuff started on these if you're interested in them. Now I'm going to highlight a few things that we have coming down the pike. There is in your packet a fact sheet that says what is in the 2014 Farm Bill for Farm Service Agency customers. A lot of these programs, we don't have, the Farm Bill's been signed. There's some general things in the law right now, but we don't have all the specific rules because those haven't been written. Federal regulations have not been written yet for these programs. But I kind of wanted to give you some time frames just so you kind of know what's coming. The first is the dairy programs, and this is estimated for late summer, early fall. We currently have a MILK program, MILC. It's the Milk Income Loss Program. And they extended that from October 1 of 13 until the new Dairy Marginal Protection Program is operational, or September 1st of 2014. And the Dairy Marginal Program will replace the milk program. So when they get that all fixed up, it will take over. This covers catastrophic coverage at no cost to the producer other than a $100 administrative fee. And it has various levels of buy-up coverage you can get. And its catastrophic coverage provides payment to participants when the national dairy production margin is less than $4 per hundredweight. So, again, that's probably going to be coming late summer, early fall is what we're estimating. They could come sooner or later, but that's kind of what we're looking at. And then the Non-Insured Crop Disaster Assistance Program, which is NAP. Late summer, early fall, there'll be a few changes to that program. A lot of you are probably already participating in NAP on some crops. And again, these are crops that are not insurable through crop insurance. You can buy coverage through the FSA office for NAP. And this is gonna be expanded to include buyout coverage. So it's gonna be similar to what's offered through federal crop insurance. And this is really a good thing. We've been asking for this for years. Crop insurance and NAP just are not really similar on how they pay out. And you always had to endure a 50% loss before you ever got anything on NAP, and that discouraged a lot of people from coming in and getting coverage. So I think this is a great thing that they added, and definitely something to look into if you currently have NAP or if you're interested in some more coverage for your crops that you can't get through crop insurance. Producers can elect coverage for each individual crop between 50 and 65%, and then in 5% increments at 100% of the average market price. And then grazing land will not be eligible for the buyout coverage. So if you currently have NAP grazing now, it's going to be the way it is. There's not going to be any buyout for grazing. Okay? Okay, then as we all know, the direct and countercyclical payment DCP program is going away, and it's going to be replaced with the price loss coverage, which is your PLC, and the agricultural risk coverage, which is the ARC. And those are the ones you're going to be hearing a lot about as we go forward. Those are the ones you're probably interested in today. So in the fall is when we're estimating some of this is going to start coming. You will have, the option to start looking into the PLC and ARC and have a one-time opportunity to maintain the farm's 2013 bases through 2018 or reallocate base acres. And the covered commodities include wheat, oats, barley, corn, grain sorghum, rice, soybeans, sunflower seed, rapeseed, canola, safflower, flaxseed, mustard seed, cranberry, sesame seed, dry peas, lentils, chickpeas, large peas, and peanuts. Those are the ones that they've listed in the law. You'll also have enough opportunity at that time to update your payment yield for each covered commodity based on 90% of the farm's 2008 through 2012 average yield per planted acre, excluding any year that no acreage was planted. And program payment yields are used to determine payment amounts for the PLC program. So those are things that we're going to be doing first. Those are the things that we'll probably be notifying you. Come in now, let's start looking at your bases and yields and start trying to figure out for sure what you want to do. Then in late 2014, early 2015 is what they're estimating, you'll start making elections on PLC and ARC. So under PLC, payments are issued when effective price of a covered commodity is less than the respective reference price for that commodity established in the statute. And then under ARC, you're going to have two different options if you decide to do that. There's a county ARC and an individual ARC. Under the county ARC, payments are issued when the actual county crop revenue of a covered commodity is less than the ARC county guarantee for the covered commodity and are based on county data, not farm data. Okay. And then the individual ARC, payments are issued when the actual individual crop revenues summed across all covered commodities on the farm are less than the ARC individual guarantees summed across those covered commodities on the farm. So they're a little different on what your options are. Both the county ARC and the individual ARC will use 5-year average yields, county or individual yields, depending on the option. But we don't know right now for sure what these years are going to be. And that's something that's going to have to be written into the regulations so we know what time period they're looking at. And this will, like I said, be determined when the rules are written. The election, at the time you make an election, all the producers on the farm must make a one-time unanimous election of PLC or county ARC on the covered commodity by covered commodity basis or individual ARC for the covered commodities on the farm. So keep that in mind. This isn't a unanimous, is how they're writing this, that everybody has to decide on the farm how you want to handle that, which election you want to make. And then Lee talked about earlier that SCO, that supplemental coverage option. If you are interested in that, you cannot do the supplemental coverage option if you're in ARC. So that's something that you need to think about. That's probably one of the biggest things that you need to think about is you won't have that option if you're in ARC. Also, these elections are for 5 years. You're doing 2014 through 2018. So you make a decision what your election is going to be for that farm. It's for the full 5 years. There's not a yearly sign-up like there was with DCP. So you're locked in for that time period. If for some reason you don't make an election once they get this thing going, if you don't make an election, you will automatically be put in PLC for the whole term of the 5 years. So you definitely want to, as time goes on, you want to learn and figure out what you want to do, and you want to make your election so somebody's not making that election for you. And there will be tools available. There's a series of colleges and different places that are working on ways for you guys to go through your individual operation and figure out what's the best option for you. There's going to be things available. That's the nice part about having a little time here, that we're not rushed into making these decisions. You'll have some time to do that and to figure out what you want to do and what election you want. Yes?
Can you cover that portion on individual coverage for yields versus county average yield? Again, what did you say there? We will have a choice for that.
As far as on ARC, yeah, it's, there's.
Can you repeat it and speak up a
yeah,
little louder?
he was am I talking too quiet? He was talking about the difference in the individual or county yields for ARC, and it will be just that.
And that's just ARC, that's not the PLC side?
Right. There's the individual ARC and the county ARC, so if you're wanting that option, you will have an option within ARC to figure out if you want to go individual or if you want to do it on a county basis. Now, they haven't given us the details, and I think that's where making your decision, we need the meat of it, so you understand exactly what does county mean, what does individual mean. We also had questions yesterday about, there's been a drought, and, if you're looking at an average of your years, maybe your last 5 years hasn't been what your typical has been. We're hoping they're going to address that too. So, because I know a lot of people's yields have been down for the last 5 years. So there's concerns about that too.
Jenny?
Yes.
Couple quick points of clarification too. So if whoever controls the land, the landlord in this case, has actually the decision. It's not the tenant, it's the landlord that has to make that. That's what I've.
That hasn't really been spelled out anywhere. I mean, they just say unanimous, that you both have to come to a decision.
And that came from somebody that was involved in I guess, interpreting that farm bill.
Okay.
That's where that came from. So.
Yeah. There's a lot of I don't think we really know the answer to that right now. But I do think it says unanimous is what it says now, so you're obviously going to have to come to some agreement on what you're going to do, because you're locked in for that 5 years.
And the other key thing too that people need to remember is, if you buy a piece of land, that whatever was chosen on that land goes with that land. So if you buy a piece of land and it has ARC coverage on it, that's what you get for the remainder of the term. So.
And hopefully they'll, when they spell stuff out in the regs, they'll spell that out really well too, and we'll have to make sure our county offices are clear on, the explanation when somebody's making an election, that they understand what they're signing up for. So
I think the important thing he's pointing out, though, for all of you, if you are in the landlord lease situation, as we go forward and the rules and regs come out, make sure you stay in good communications with your landlord or other partners, okay? Because they are going to have to participate in the process. However, the final rules are developed, and they're going to be a participant. So stay in touch and communicate.
yeah, and because a lot of this information is still rolling out, we're not positive on these different dates of when stuff's going to start happening. So again, we don't send out newsletters anymore because of budget. So your best resource is to get signed up with GovDelivery, so you have email addresses on file at the county office. And we will put out sign-ups, deadlines, what's going on right now, but we won't overwhelm you with, 25 emails a day either. But that's going to be our resource for letting you know about these deadlines. And then local newspapers, if we're able to do that, obviously we'll put stuff in papers. Some communities have a lot more luck with being able to use their local papers to do that stuff than others. So, but there's just a lot of stuff that's going to be coming down the pike. So make sure you're kind of staying in the loop. And again, I didn't want people worried about missing the April 15th. That was just the sign-up start. We've got till January unless you're doing ELAP. We've got till January, so you've got some time too to get into the office and make appointments and stuff to go in. And they can help you once they know what you're coming in for as to what you need to bring with you, so that you're not having to go back and forth to the office multiple times. I know that happens sometimes too. So, but that's basically all I have, unless you have some additional questions that I can help you with.
Yeah, we can take questions for either Jenny or Scott.
Yeah.
I believe you started